Hi, it's Tom at FDS again, and today we are going to be revisiting this, which is the Zombie Strike Krinkov that I made some time ago. And this was a very early flat top that I made, and it's constructed kind of differently from how I do them now. And also it was done to see how far you could kind of push the Zombie Strike colour scheme. And there's a few bits and pieces in there. It's a Kawasaki Racing green base with a zombie faces dip film, and then an orange pearl stripe. Orange pearl works front and back. This is built for outdoor use, so there's lots of the orange plastic still on it. And what we're going to look at today as well is we're going to look at this, which is the BlasterTECH switch kit. And as you can see, the BlasterTECH switch kit is a different design from the old-fashioned BSUK switch kit. And this has had a lot more development work put into it. I've got to apologise to Dean, it's taken me a long time to take this one out and have a look at it. But as you can see, it's quite different. I'll get a... as you can see, this still accepts the nice neat DC2 switches that BSUK used to use for theirs. These are a much better switch than the Omron. I don't understand why people use such a big ugly switch. They've been fine. Anyone who tells you that they'll burn out has obviously not wired properly. You can use these obviously with a MOSFET. You can run a FET off of just the rev trigger and then leave the rest of it alone. This is designed for 3-switch. Now the one thing this does have is it has the little 5 amp Omron at the top. Now that might strike some people as way too low for modern motors, but cycle control switch is the really difficult part to get right on the Rapidstrike, and you'll notice that the little 3D printed actuator here is a different shape from the BSUK one, and that stops what used to happen often with the BSUK kit, was that this would get ridden up and bent over, and it still allows it to flutter nice and fast. Now this is just the control switch, so its burst loads are very low, and the pushers obviously don't develop full stall because of the gearbox. So a pusher typically will get close to the no load current speed, so you don't have to worry about the rating. The reason the 5 amp switch is used is because the arm angle on the 10 amps is different, and the arm angle on the 10 amps is more acute, so it stokes up more, and that causes more problems for the actuator. So I'm going to replace in this one, which will open up now. I've undone the screws, hopefully it will come open. Haven't had it open in a while, it's a tight fit, so just take the plug off. Right, now that switchable control up there was put in to give me burst compatibility. This is going to be the prototype for my little burst fired circuit that I've been working on for the past God knows how long. And this was also wired, so it was live. You could switch between live and dead center. Okay, so here's the internals. I also want to see this time while I'm here whether I can fit a more modern cage to this, because this has got an old-fashioned plastic cage in it and stock wheels, and I want to do something about that. I got a selection of cages. Now you can see the problems I've had here. If we look carefully at this, you can see here's a classic problem with the BSUK switch, in that the glue surface area is relatively small. Now I can't remember whether I DevConned that in, but anyway, I've had a couple of problems with some of these. So what I'm going to do, and you can see here that I've had to modify my switch, this has got my own personal modification to it, where I've actually taken the DC2 top arm and made the question mark head for it so that it flicks under here, and that just keeps that fluttering nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap this whole lot out. If I just take that trigger out. So again, you know, this is very thin, and I wish BSUK had done more development work on this, because the basic design was really good, and obviously it came out at a time when we really didn't have much choice about what plates we could put in. There wasn't one, and I know there are numerous other ones now featuring switches both large and ugly and slightly smaller and better, but this was the original, so obviously BSUK got to the market first with theirs, and it was a very nice kit for its time. It was very useful. It kick-started a lot of the electric revolution that we've had over the last few years. It made rewiring much easier, because you had everything there to support the switches, and you didn't have to spend time cutting out the stock plate. And it was very reliable. I made a lot of builds with these, and certainly, especially with the early 5 amp switch, I had no troubles. And when we switched to the 10 amps with the new arm, I did get some come back. I had 3 come back where they kept jamming the pusher up, and so we came up with this fix for that. But the control switch has always been the problem on this design, and I know lots of people have always struggled to get this right and get it set right, and to stop it from flexing and moving, and then it loses control of the pusher and your pusher runs away. Now this one, I'm not sure whether it's got a plug-in pusher or not. I don't think so. This is like a kind of medium term loom for me. I didn't put a lot of stuff into it that I now put into some of my looms. You can see that it's got plug-in motor block up here at the front with Dean's, and then obviously my usual XT60, and you can just about fit in amongst there. There's not much room in this shell because of the way it ended up being carved up. So the Dean's ends up going in here in the front, and then it's got the usual wiring, LEDs. That is the LED switch because it's got a jam door here from a retail, and I put a little retail door in. That's just not many people have done that. I just did that because it looked more different and kind of interesting. This space on top here where the jam door used to go is where my control circuitry is going to go, and my control circuit, the prototype, is small enough to fit in there easily, and the production version will be tiny, but it's just taken me a hell of a long time to do. And you can see that there's enough space in there, and then there's the switch where it bridges across the shell. So the other thing I'm going to do today is I'm going to, with much sadness, remove this rather nice Jace 3D release lever. It's a very nice product, but it's too long, and I just knocked my mags out, which is embarrassing. So that's got to go, and then I'll also have a look at the rest of this. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to take out the plate. So the first thing I need to do is I need to obviously break these connections, and I'll have to fire my soldering iron up, and I'll break the connections, and then we can work our way through each one. I can, I suppose, just take the switches off, but that's going to be a job for the soldering iron.